What's up, everybody? Excellent morning to you all. Really sorry I'm a few 2 minutes late. Actually got distracted editing a paper, which is a good thing. So the topic of today is when to decline co-authorships and how to get co-authors. And this is one of those topics that would be in books of what is crucial for your career, but they'll never teach you in graduate school. Um, and this matters a lot because um, I actually made some mistakes. Made some mistakes when during, let's say, the early part of my career with this, but I also made some good decisions. So I learned the hard way. Um, so the answer to this is the first part of the question, when to decline co-authorships, is very simple. You decline co-authorships when the data is not good enough. That's as simple as that. Okay, and this when you're a qualitative researcher requires you to be super humble, and and I made some mistakes at the beginning of my career uh, because I felt that I was good enough in coming up with theoretical framings for my papers that I could just basically save any data set. And so I have some papers where the data are just pretty bad. And the data are pretty bad. I mean, I have some papers uh, where the data is limited, like the number of interviews that I have is limited because they come from master's thesis and so on. But it's the whole data, and there's a story there that I believe in. Um, the papers that I should have rejected that I did not were papers where I was working with leftover data, and that is just that's just impossible. Working with leftover data, you should not do that. Okay, maybe if you're a genius, you can pull it off, but still, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Um, so what does leftover data look like? Well, this is data. These are the bits of data that you have from a data set after the good bits are put into papers, right? Um, so, for example, I have some data from my thesis about just general management leadership practices. And maybe there is a leadership paper that can be written from that data, but the problem is that a lot of the juicy data, a lot of the key leadership practices linked to the production of performance data, those data are all already used in the papers that I have published. Um, so there's really nothing there. There's really nothing left, and because there's really nothing left, then anybody that picks up on that data will have will struggle a lot to build a decent paper, and yeah, and I actually picked up one or two of these papers that ended up getting published, but they just took a lot out of me. They took months, if not years, out of my pipeline, just because I was working on this and nothing else. If you're taking more than a year for or even like more than 9 months on a paper, it needs to be top quality data, right? I was invited to work on one of these papers by a super senior scholar. It was the first and only time that I got a co-authorship request from a senior scholar. So it was super tempting. Also, somebody that I respect very much. It was super tempting, but I just know I'll just look like an idiot because it's this. It was again leftover data from another project, and there were just too many holes in that data. So unless you know you look at this data, at the data that people are putting on the table and say, this is a complete data set to some extent, then just don't do it because you're going to be wasting your time. People are going to be de facto taking advantage of you, and if these are people to whom that you want them to have a good opinion of you, you just don't want to see them floundering with data, especially because it's their fault, right? I mean, and obviously, if you're a senior scholar, don't do this to junior scholars, right? I mean, that doesn't mean that you should only join projects with great data. I just got a paper. I have a small paper that is based on interviews from a master's thesis. I love that data. I think the data has stories to tell. I'm getting some pretty rough reviews although it's in a small journal. Because it's difficult data to work with, but the whole thing is there. The it's just that I only have 10 interviews, and and the interviews were done by a master's student who obviously wasn't born with interview skills. And there's only so much training you can give to a master's student on interviewing when we're working with them. So that's one thing. Okay, so it's not perfect data, but the whole thing is there. But data leftovers, that's the rule. Obviously, you should obviously decline to co-author with people that are not really engaged in the paper. I've seen the opposite. I've seen people with amazing data sets, like having other people sort of like work on this and like literally not caring at all how good the paper is, because one of the many people they have working on data will eventually get something out. So anyway, sometimes not super nice, and as senior scholars, we need to make sure we are nice to our junior faculty, and that we help them out. Now, how to get co-authors? There are a lot of ideas in academia. What is lacking in academia is excellent data. That's lacking. So the best way to get co-authors is to get good coded data and focus every single public presentation that you have on your data. Okay? And this is difficult because, we all wanted to do our super smart theorization and put the theory up front and so on. Just like dismiss the interview quotes and just like put this front and center. Actually, let me show you something here. So I'll show you how I do this. It may be interesting. Verify Microsoft PowerPoint. Thanks so much. So, really make the data front and center because, that's what gets people interested. People will be listening to your ideas as, something to criticize, but they'll be looking at your data for an interesting story. People like stories, right? So really focusing on your data, really highlighting your data is a great way to get co-authors. Okay, so I actually have some projects where I'm looking for co-authors. This is actually not one of them, but anyway, you never know. So this is a presentation that I did in a symposium at 2018 uh, 19 Academy of Management. Okay, and here's I'll show you what I mean by giving center stage to the data. Okay, so I'll show you my theory slides. Okay, so this is slide number 1, which is basically saying this is what I want to do with the paper. Okay, one sentence. Now this is slide number 2, where I basically say, I wrote a paper that does this, and now what I'm doing is I'm writing a second paper that does this. Okay, good. So that was it. Okay, no quotes, no lengthy theories, no frameworks, zero. Just what is the frame for this paper. Sometimes this is useful to get feedback, otherwise no. Then super small chart on a slide with methods, and then there you go, right? And notice that the text here are the data, right? These are interview quotes. Oops, sorry. These are interview quotes. No, my amazing coding are just bullet points, right? So there you go, data, data, data. So I'm already on double the data number of data slides that I had for the theory. Okay, and then as you know this table idea. So the table with the contribution and the conclusion that goes back there. So basically, I have as much data as I have everything else in the presentation. If I had a little bit more time for this presentation, this was a short one, the usual 12 minutes at the Academy of Management, definitely I would have added more data. Okay. Now the org science piece that I have happened because somebody doing research on business ethics attended a presentation of mine at a small conference, and she saw my data and said that there was like a super cool ethics story there, and that's where how we worked from that. Yeah, so that's the key insight. Like really focus on data to get co-authors, but also to accept co-authorships. Do not accept bad co-authorships, even if it's a paper for a small journal, for 2 reasons. First, it'll bog you down. You're better off just like, if you want, like, if you need something small and you don't have data or ideas or so on, just do a literature review. Okay, literature review get published in small journals. Okay, don't take somebody else's don't take somebody else's data leftovers. And also, be mindful of the type of people that you're enabling with co-authorship. There are people that build careers just like putting their names on other people's papers. Just be mindful that you're not contributing to these people's careers. I mean, it's not wrong, but it's just not a place where, not the type of people you want to support in academia, I'd say. Anyway, so there you go. Here's how you do it, and I hope you enjoyed. This also says something really important, by the way, which is always work with great data. It may not be a lot, but just make sure it's good. Okay? Data collection for qualitative researchers, but not only, about survey design, right? Data collection is, I would say, the key skill for a management researcher. The key skill, how to collect data. Read as many books on how to write ethnographic field notes and how to interview. Actually, I'll say 3 times as many books on that as you read on how to analyze those data. Okay, because with great data will always publish itself, and that's the only thing reviewers cannot help you with. Reviewers can help you with the framing. Reviewers can help you with the analysis. If your data is not good enough, the paper's done. There's really nothing you can do. So yeah, focus on that. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody. I'm thinking about what should we speak about tomorrow. Actually, as we are on the topic of data, tomorrow I will talk about what's the similarity between qualitative data and tabloid news, and I hope you'll enjoy that. Okay, so everybody watching live, thanks so much for watching. Everybody watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe, helps a lot. I also thank you everybody who has been leaving comments, really encouraging, and I very much appreciate it. Again, this is not monetized in any way, so I'll just doing it to help out and share some knowledge. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one.